Colleagues, I rise to speak on an important amendment I am offering to the DHHS budget. In our society, we have an epidemic of sexual assault. While that's become clear in our national discussion, our state has not put forth enough effort to change our culture that enables sexual assault.
That's the one they pulled, right?
Last week, hundreds of survivors came to the Capitol to tell their stories. I want to thank Senator Kniezek, Senator Schoonemaker, who sat through a committee hearing heart-wrenching, gut-wrenching stories of those that have been assaulted in our state. In working on this issue, I have heard from countless experts, advocates, and survivors of sexual assault, and they all agree a change in culture can only begin with education. I am proud that this body is taking this step to assure that survivors have justice. That is incredibly important. I'm proud that we've done that. But true reforms takes measures to assure that justice is not needed, that we don't create another army of survivors, that we change our culture. This amendment will require that the Department of Health and Human Services consult with the Department of Education to develop age-appropriate curriculum addressing the importance of consent, setting respecting personal boundaries, and preventing child sexual abuse. This will be the first time the Michigan legislature will have a serious discussion about the importance of consent. Now, I'm not a big fan of when public servants and politicians can only see women as their daughters, their mothers, or their wives. But it is not lost on me that my daughter will be taught her entire life where not to walk, what not to wear, how to protect her drink, to carry pepper spray that she'll be safe. And the boys in her class and my sons will not be taught not to be perpetrators. We have a tremendous amount of work to do. But this legislation is a first step. This amendment is a first step to moving in that direction. Someone who is incapacitated cannot consent. Someone who is coerced or threatened cannot consent. Consent cannot be taken. It can only be freely given. It is at the heart of every healthy relationship. And consent is not just about sex. An early introduction to the concept of consent should come before any conversation about sexual health or dating, before a culture, so that a culture of respect applies to everything, not just sexual assault. By teaching children early on that we don't touch others or their belongings without their permission, that we respect personal boundaries, and that people reserve the right to change their minds, we're setting the foundation to shift our culture toward one that respects each person's right to their own bodies and a fundamental understanding of consent. Until we change our approach to teaching and discussing consent, we will not be doing everything we can to prevent sexual assault. How we educate young people on this issue is the first step in creating lasting cultural change to end sexual assault. And this amendment takes that first step. I want to thank Chairman McGregor and the Senate Majority Policy Office for working with us on this amendment. I appreciate your willingness to work on this with us, and I think it's a major step in the right direction, and thank you. And I want to thank Senator Prose, who assured that the spirit of Aaron's Law is in this amendment, and his hard work to prevent child sexual assault. And I want to thank Senator Schoonemaker, who's been a champion on this issue, and who listened to the stories of survivors and has been pushing very hard for this change to happen. I am glad that we're taking this first step today, and I want to thank my colleagues on the other side of the aisle for being partners in this. Thank you.